Hi everybody, it's Tom Woods, September 24th, 2012. Well, as you know, there are a lot of misconceptions about libertarians and libertarianism, and I'm going to take on one of them right now because it came up a couple days ago at a website called American Thinker in an article called Why I'm Not a Libertarian. And I make some of these videos so I never have to discuss these topics again. If it comes up, I just say, hey, watch the video. So I'm doing this for you guys. If this ever comes up, you can just say, watch the video, and then we never have to talk about this again. So I want to read you a couple of passages from this article, and then we're going to take it apart piece by piece. I want to start toward the end because I like how over the top this is. We're told in this article that libertarians seek civilization in earthly pleasure, and libertarians seek meaning in meaninglessness. Now, I don't know. I think that statement is pretty meaningless, but that's really the thesis of the article, that libertarians are really not giving me the meaning of life here. They're just an empty shell. There's nothing to them. All they care about is choice. All they care about is production and exchange. And isn't that empty? All they think about is economic man. It's human beings who think about nothing but money. I mean, this is exactly what Hillary Clinton would say. It's what Obama would say. And this is a supposed conservative. I mean, the poor kid, I feel, so I don't want to even tell you his name because maybe he'll come to his senses and I don't want to embarrass him. Although I do have to put the article, the link to the article, in the description of this video, so I am doing that. So let's read further. He's concerned that because libertarians don't tell you, well, this is the meaning of life, that therefore we won't have enough national purpose. And so when our men get sent into battle, they won't be inspired enough, because the only thing we'll be able to say to inspire them is, hey, you know, if you guys win the war, we'll be able to produce more goods or something. So he says, will our chaplains call soldiers to fight valiantly, providing a mathematical formula which explains how the greater pleasure will be achieved on the whole if the war is won? So of all people, he's accusing Mises of thinking that we would come up with some mathematical formula to calculate social satisfaction or the happiness of mankind, when that's exactly the very sort of thing Mises is fighting against in the first 300 pages of Human Action, the pages that this person read. He read these pages of the great economist Ludwig von Mises' treatise, Human Action, and then wrote this article. So, all right, so it's spiritually empty to be a libertarian, but it's not spiritually empty, apparently, to follow Mitt Romney and John McCain and be sent into battle in Iraq. Then he goes on to say that his reaction to Mises' work underscores my particular problem with libertarianism in general, the fact that it has little to no soul, reducing man to a rational, pleasure-seeking animal. And then he goes on to say that it really reduces human beings to the level of robots who just sort of calculate what they prefer at a given moment, and they've always got a list of things in mind. And, well, right now I would first prefer an apple, but if I can't have that, I'll take a banana. If I can't have that, I'll go miniature golfing. And if I can't have that, I'll fix my flat tire. And if I can't do that, I'll have a glass of water. Apparently he thinks that's what Mises is saying when he says that we have value scales and we decide the course of action to take based on our value scales. He thinks that Mises means that we sit down and we actually think of like the top 15 things we'd like to do. This is not what Mises is saying. He's simply saying that we have preferences. We can't satisfy all our ends because we're finite beings and the resources in the world are finite. So necessarily we have to choose. And the fact that we choose indicates that we have preferences for one thing over another. That's all. And then finally he says, praxeology, which is a word Mises uses, the study of human action, doesn't concern itself with whether men want the right things. That's true, it doesn't. It concerns itself with man's attempt to become happy. Well, actually, what praxeology is talking about and what Mises is talking about is not about man's attempt to become happy. It's his effort to satisfy his preferences. And I've yet to meet somebody who would say, I have preferences, but I do not want them satisfied. Now, this author may say, well, I have much more exalted preferences than you have, Woods, or than Mises had. Well, maybe so. Maybe you have the most exalted preferences in the history of the world. But I bet you want those preferences satisfied. That's what Mises is talking about. Big deal. All right, so now let's go through and see where the errors are. First of all, one error is in not distinguishing between a treatise on economics and a treatise on libertarianism. Mises is not writing a treatise on libertarianism, and yet this guy is coming up with all these conclusions about why libertarians are spiritually empty and all this based on a book on economics. Well, why you're looking for the meaning of life in a book on economics, kid, I have no idea. Libertarianism has one fundamental principle, and that is non-aggression. You don't initiate physical force against other people. That's it. That's all libertarianism is. So to draw from that libertarians have no aesthetic sense, or they're hedonists and all they care about is pleasure, there's no meaning in their lives. I mean, what does that mean? So because I don't believe in initiating violence against people, my life is meaningless and I'm adrift on the sea of meaning? I mean, what is this? Because I don't believe in violence, because I don't believe in that I need the paternal custodianship of Mitt Romney, that my life is now devoid of meaning? I'm a hedonist who thinks only about pleasure just because I don't want to clock people over the head? I don't want to act like a thug? Or I have no moral values because I'm a libertarian? No, to the contrary, it's because I have moral values that I'm a libertarian. I take my moral values and I apply them even to Hillary Clinton, and I apply them even to John McCain, and even to Mitt Romney. And I say, if I can't steal, you can't steal. If I can't kidnap, you can't kidnap, and call it military conscription, and so on. If I can't gather up people and throw them in cages even though they haven't committed any violent act, then neither can you. Okay, I think that actually is an affirmation of moral values. Now, Mises himself. Mises, of all people to criticize for making human beings empty shells, it's Mises who's criticizing opponents who hold that view. Mises is criticizing economists who would treat human beings as if they are just like any other sort of projectile thrown in the air. You can just measure them. You can assign numbers to their preferences. And Mises is saying, no, human beings are unique in the order of creation, right? They're unique. You can't study them the way you would study a rock. So you would think that the author of this article would like that, would appreciate this aspect of Mises, but he doesn't seem to. Mises never says, I am only discussing man, I'm discussing economic man, a man who thinks only about money and exchange and whatever. In fact, in Human Action, you've got to read a little bit beyond the first part of it, though. Here's Mises. Economics deals with the real actions of real men. Its theorems refer neither to ideal nor to perfect men, neither to the phantom of a fabulous economic man, nor to the statistical notion of an average man. He never says that human beings are strictly logical. This is a word that the author uses repeatedly. Mises doesn't say that. So in other words, if Mises sees a guy out there doing a rain dance, he wouldn't say, oh my gosh, my worldview is refuted. There's somebody behaving illogically. I mean, obviously Mises lived in the world. He knows people act in funny ways. The point is that people are still operating in a means-ends framework. That's what he's talking about when he says that they're behaving rationally. They're operating within a means-ends framework. Now that person is using the wrong means to bring about his end. But he's making a connection, it's a faulty one, but he's making a connection between means and ends. That's what Mises is talking about when he's talking about the study of human action. It does not invalidate anything Mises says, that people sometimes behave illogically, or here the author says, I have no problem with the idea of man as a logical being, although I believe he's frequently blinded by desire, again, as if Mises doesn't know that people might have desires. These are simply factored in to the economist's analysis. It's not like you have to operate on the assumption that people just want to maximize their monetary income, because that's not true. People have other values, and you just take those other values into account. Again, he doesn't say that people have explicitly formed value scales in their heads. He just says that people have to choose, and so they're going to choose the thing that they most want to do at a particular moment. I don't see that that's controversial or wicked or indicates that there's no meaning to life or any of the rest of it. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, okay, so again, it's true, Mises is not going to give you the meaning of life, but you shouldn't be looking for the meaning of life in an economic treatise. Moreover, why are we criticizing only economics for this? I mean, we don't find the meaning of life in physics. You know, hey, you guys are telling me all about how projectiles move, but you're not telling me the meaning of life, or when should I throw things, and should I throw this baseball at that guy's head? You're not telling me. You know, you guys are just an empty shell. I've got no meaning here. You don't do that. You don't criticize plumbing because it doesn't give you the meaning of life, or it doesn't give you the exalted fundamental reasons that you might want pipes and running water. So why do that with economics? Economics is simply looking at the issue of human beings have ends they want to pursue, and they're going to pursue them with certain means. That's what economics does. Deciding what people should do, well, that's a branch of, that's moral philosophy. I mean, economists have their hands full. They have a lot of different fields to talk about. They got to talk about labor and banking and money and interest rates and production and on and on and on. They got their hands full. What you should do is something that you study separately. But what the likely consequences of your actions are, the cause and effect relationships that exist out there in the world, are the subject of the economist's study. Now, why is it that Mises is interested in human choice? He's not interested in what people choose. He's interested in the fact that they choose. And he's doing this not because there's no meaning to life or he's a stupid idiot, but because just think of it this way. And I'm going to also link in the description of this video to a video I did that explains this point I'm about to make at greater length. Basically this, Mises says, all right, so we can all see human beings act, they have goals, and they pursue these goals by employing scarce means. The means in the world are scarce. Your body is scarce. The physical goods, most of the goods in the world, other than, let's say, air, are scarce. So not all ends can be pursued with them that we might want to pursue. I can't simultaneously pursue all the ends I might want, even if I had all the material things in the world, because I have only one body, and at a given moment I can really do only one thing, more or less. So what does this imply? Well, first of all, right away, the economic concept of cost is implied, because I can't do everything at once, I have to choose. And when I choose, I am implicitly setting aside something else. When I choose to eat a ham sandwich, I'm setting aside going out dancing, at least for the time being. So by choosing, I am automatically setting aside other things that I might have done. And those things that I might have done are my costs. Those are the things that I can't do because I've chosen to do A. I can't do B. So I have these costs. These costs are subjective. Only I can know what's in my mind and what other courses of action I might have pursued. Now we also see the law of marginal utility, which just simply means that as I acquire more units of a homogeneous good, the value of the additional units begins to fall for me. So the classic example is I got a lot of water. First unit of water I'll drink with so I don't die. Second unit of water I will bathe with so people want to spend time with me. Third unit of water I might use for cooking. The fourth unit to water my plants. And so as you see, as I acquire each additional unit, I'm applying it to a less urgent end. And so as I acquire the additional units, each one will have lower value to me. I find less and less utility from it. And here is where the demand curve in economics comes from. It's from this insight. And then you can draw the demand curve based on all that. And this is all just coming back to the fact that people choose. Mises is able to say that from this primordial fact of the human condition, we can draw out these basic economic concepts. They're already immediately implied in the very concept of action. Now, I think that's pretty interesting and pretty neat that he does that. And I don't conclude from this that there's no meaning to life. I conclude that Mises has a finite task here. He's not looking to answer every question of the universe. He's looking to answer, nevertheless, some very important questions. And that's what economics is looking to do. It's not looking to tell you how you should live or what you should do. That's for you to decide based on moral principles that you learn either religiously or from whatever source. That's a separate question. That's not an unimportant question. It may be the most important question. But just because economics does not deal with the most important question in the history of the world doesn't mean that it's not valuable. All right, well, that's all I'm going to say on that for now. So in the meantime, what I'd like you to do is remember that this month, September 2012, we are running out of dates in this month. And only this month I'm giving away a free book to people so I can get rid of some of these books in my house. I used to say garage. I've moved them into my house. I got a bunch of my books that I'll gladly sign and send to you for free for new members of Liberty Classroom. So head over to libertyclassroom.com/Max, and when you get there, you'll find out why it's /Max. It's in honor of my good buddy, Max Kaiser. So head over to libertyclassroom.com/Max, and also at the end of this video, look at the dates of where I'm going to be. So I hope I'll see you guys, and thanks for listening.